Hello everyone, I have been working on the Cosmostrator. You know, this reminds me of something you might have seen in Looney Tunes with Marvin the Martian. I must destroy the Earth. It's obstructing my view of Venus. That's what that reminds me of. But anyhow, I digress. Most of the seams on this came out pretty good. There's a couple of spots on it where I think I'm going to have to put some putty. All three of the engine pods right along here, you can see a line. Okay? Let me do a bit of a zoom. You can see a line on it right here. This line denotes where the seam was. And if you turn it over, there is no line right along here. So that tells me that there is a slight indentation along here, and that's just going to have to be fixed. This is pylon number 2. Pylon number 3 has the same issue. It's just very, very slight along here. I'm about to clean this thing up with some water or some alcohol or something. And I'm going to get out some Tamiya liquid putty. I'll show you that in a second. And just paint it along where I think the seams have issues. Now, pylon number 1, it has the worst of it. It has a small issue up near the top up here on both sides. On this side up here, it's way more pronounced. Okay? And along here, I could not get that to go away. Yeah, my fingernail can follow a groove along there. That means it's grooved in. So, there are some seams. I'm going to have to do some putty work on this. The main body, however, almost completely good except for one tiny spot right there. I mean, the whole thing, the seam just vanished with some work. I got to polish it and get it all smooth and everything else. But the main body came out really good except for that one small spot. And the underside doesn't look so great either. But I am not so worried about that. Most of the underside came out good. I'm not so worried about it because you're really not going to see much of that unless you pick the model up and start handling it. And well, we're not doing that very often. So just wanted to give you guys an update. There is some putty work to be done on this model. It is not a putty-free model, unfortunately. That is the nature of some of these things. And this particular model, it is, well, it is a Pegasus hobby kit. I have yet to build one that had perfect seams. Well, come to think about it, the TIE Fighter from Fine Molds didn't have perfect seams. Had better seams than this, though. So, just letting you guys know, I'm going to get at it a little bit, and I will talk to you guys in a while. I'm going to paint the putty on there. I'm going to let it cure for overnight. I'm not going to just paint the putty on and start sanding today. I'm in no rush with this guy. I'd rather work on something else in the meantime. So I'll talk to you guys later. This camera, it doesn't know when to stop. I started playing, whatever. Anyhow, this is the Tamiya putty I'm going to use. It's a liquid putty I painted on. It says Surface Primer. Pretty much the same difference as Mr. Surfacer 500. I use it the same way. The Mr. Surfacer 500 is not out, and it is, so I'm going to use it. I'll drop the camera and just show you how it works real quick. It doesn't have a brush, just like the Mr. Surfacer doesn't. It has pretty much the same stinky smell as Mr. Surfacer. Okay? So I get one of my old, decrepit, cheapo brushes for this. You know, when you go to Hobby Lobby or Michael's or something similar that says they have a pack of their 5 brushes for $3. Yeah, it's one of these brushes. Actually, this one is not. This one's a very nice brush. Put that away. I need a crappy brush from the cheapo bin. Okay, apparently I don't have any of those here. I could use one of the good old Tester's brushes. I've had these for 20 years, 20 plus years. Good old Tester's brush. Okay. I've got my other brushes in a different box. No, these are all good ones. I don't know what happened. I'll have to buy some more cheapos. They've vanished. I'll use the Tester's brush. It means more sanding because this is going to cover a bigger area. But so be it. I get some on my paintbrush. I find my bad spot. Just dab it on there. Anywhere else I think there's a bad spot, I'm going to dab it on there. Like inside here. It's a really thick primer is all it really is. And when I get in here and sand this, they'll fill in those grooves. And I grooved this thing on the bottom side with the file. I used a file in here because I couldn't get the sanding stick in there properly. Okay, now let's hit this other one. Pylon number 1. I think that's not you. That's number 2. You're probably number 1. Yep, you're number 1. You have the really badness up here. So let's get after pylon number 1 right along here. Okay? And this thing had a pretty reflective surface to it with the original glossy paint. So it made it simple for me to see how my sanding work is doing. Alright. I ignore the beeping. I just put Windows 7 on an old Vista computer and it's doing its thing over there, updating the video driver. Pylon number 1, if I don't go breaking it, has its paint on it now. Let's get pylon number 2. We're going to take a look at it. Yeah, I'm going to put a little bit of this on there too. Now, I'm done with the coarse sandpaper. Everything from here on out is going to be very light, fine grade sandpaper. Because I want to smooth and not remove. Because, well, I'm done with the harsh sanding, I think. This looks better, but I'm still going to paint something on it. There we go. If I brace it with the bottom, you guys will see that it's easier to brush. And yeah, I can tell as I'm putting this on, the seam's not 100% perfect. There are spots where it needs some filling. Oh yeah, I can definitely tell as I brush this on. This needs to be hit. Now we're on pylon number 2. Now this side of pylon number 2 is far better than the other two ones are. It's just up near the tip where it's going to need some of this stuff. And we work on this side. And the good thing here is there isn't much in the way of seamage on this kit. And most of it just went away with some sanding. It's just right along here that it didn't. And again, I'm not using a heavy putty. This is not really a putty. This is more of a thick primer you paint on for filling little tiny gaps and bubbles. That's what I got here. Alright, I'm going to let that cure for probably a week. Yeah, I'm not in a hurry to finish this guy off. I'm going to paint some more on here because I can see a few spots in here where it's not perfect. And let her sit for a week. That'll cure up really good and tight. This stuff has some lacquer in it. I can smell it. Since it's got a lacquer base, it will bond with the plastic really well. That's why I like the Bondo putty. The Bondo putty bonds with plastic really, really well because it's got a lacquer base as well. Oh yeah, it's smoothing out all those file marks in there fairly well too. And that's what I was hoping for. Email. Alright, I'm going to let that sit for a while, get my lacquer thinner out and clean my old tester's brush up. Literally, I bought this brush in, hey, I keep doing that. Literally, I bought this brush probably in 1990. And I've got a set of them, and I use them for everything lacquer based, and it doesn't seem to phase them in the least bit. So let me get my brush cleaned up, and I'll come back with the next update soon. Hello everyone, been working on the Cosmostrator. Well, I haven't, it's been about a week. I've been letting it sit. And I want to pull it out and go over the seams and what they look like with you guys, what that paint has done. And I can tell already that I am going to have to paint up it a little bit more. It's not going to look 100% right. Well, I should primer it before I do that. The primer will show all. Yeah, well that one just needs a teeny bit of work. Let's look at one of these other fins real quick. Okay. It looks like the little primer did its job on this one, and that's pylon number 3. I'm going to have to sand. I can see where I'm going to have to sand it a bit. Okay. And let's look at pylon number 1. And yep, I can see a couple of spots where I'm probably going to have to redo it after sanding. And pylon number 2. It's looking a little bit the same. I'm going to have to do a little bit more work on that. And the ultimate goal I'm working on is to get it chromed up like this. All right, everyone? I want it looking like that, so I got to get these seams perfect, or it's going to show. I mean, it'll really...
A macho's coming.
No. A macho's coming? Are you sure?
Yes.
Who told you, Mom?
Uh-huh.
Oh, crap. All right, everyone, I got to go. I got to go. I got to go curb this.